All right, my friend, I'm going to be 100% honest. So, this is the second time I'm recording this episode because the first time I recorded it, I didn't have my microphone on. So, for 30 minutes, I had like the shittiest sound. And it's hilarious because the topic I really wanted to talk about for this episode was talking about the top mistakes new boss babes make. And while I'm sitting here, if you're watching this, you're seeing this from my bed. Like, I was so frustrated today because I was like, okay, cool. I'm excited to record this episode. And I was like, all right, this is going to be great. I'm bulking ahead. I'm going to get all my shit done so I can finish my book. As right now, I'm even currently doing my best to plug in my laptop. But I think it's important for us to also show the humanness of what it means to be a business person, because everyone thinks like you have to look a certain way and be a certain way in order to be respected. But I believe like pure respect really comes from when you allow yourself to be human. And what better way to be human than to really embrace like, hey, I'm going to be warts and all sharing my truth and going ahead and going to do this from my bed. And it's funny because I started this business 5 years ago from this very space. And, I've had to stay with my parents the last year after I got sick and had seizures and memory loss and sleepwalking episodes. So I just think it's really full circle that God brought me back to my parents' house to finish healing the last of my traumas and wounds from childhood in order for me to accelerate to the next phase. Because, as I said, like my intention right now is to really get this book done. And it's like my driving force. And even as this episode airs on the 13th, like I'm giving myself permission to finish it by the 15th because that's the 10-year anniversary of my LSD trip that opened my eyes and helped me understand and see the greater mission and the greater why as to why I'm here. That's where I really saw like, wow, I have the power to really change the world, and it comes from me being my authentic self. And that's the big thing I really want you to understand too. There's so many people that may be doing what you're doing out there, but no one can do it like you, boo. Let's be real. And all I know is that from my own journey of building my business, and the other day, a couple weeks ago, I went on Instagram and I shared an IG live giving people images of what my early freebies looked like. They were terrible. And now the way I look at it, I was like, I can't believe I made those choices. But I didn't know any better, right? At least I gave myself permission to get out of my comfort zone and create something, even though, like, when I look back at it, it's not good. And that's the thing. Like, the first thing you do will never be good. But you know what? It's not going to be your best, I should say. But the fact that you took that initiative to show yourself and to stop hiding and to really take the time to create something, there's something really special about that. And I think we need to celebrate that more often because we've just been so conditioned of hustle culture. And that's why my book is called Alignment is the True Hustle, is because when you give yourself the opportunity and the time and space to align to who you are, then your business, your relationships, your health, and your life can really flow with effortless ease and grace, because you being in alignment is you really embodying your sovereignty. It's you connected to your divine truth. And I think that's the bigger thing of why we're here. And that's been my driving force. And for years, I really have been helping people find their divine truth and their sacred voice. And from that space, building a business from that, because here's the thing. If you understand that, we're all make mistakes in life. Again, you're human. The thing I really want you to understand is that you need to honor who you are to really cultivate a solid foundation for your business. So again, if you're making mistakes, you're not alone. But you know what? Like, you learn from those mistakes, and the character that's built from those mistakes, once you've really taken in the initiative, or you've taken in the lessons and the wisdom that came from it, and you can, again, be humble. I think what makes us most human is being humble. And so when you give yourself permission to really know who you are, and you really devote yourself to doing the deep work, from there, you'll find alignment. From there, you'll begin to really experience your best life. And most importantly, you'll be able to receive, right? There needs to be this equal balance of give and receive. And so part of that giving as well is, how are you cultivating trust with your community and your audience? For me, I love building, like, sharing free content with my podcast. This is a way where you can understand who I am, understand how I work, understand my medicine and my overall essence and of what my brand is. And I just really want you to embrace that. I really want you to look back and honor and embrace the lessons and the wisdom you've learned along the way, especially from the ones that you made mistakes. And once you've been able to forgive yourself, or you've been able to not be feeling so victimized by the mistakes that you made, again, you're human, it's inevitable. I think there's something that can really come from that, because any unprocessed traumas and emotions that you may still be holding on to can really play a significant role in the bad habits beyond business, So if you're still in a scarcity mindset of like, oh my gosh, where are my bills going to be paid? Or, oh my gosh, people aren't going to like me. Or, oh my gosh, there's not enough content, or there's not enough eyes on my work, or whatever. All of that is rooted in childhood, babe. Like, the things that you're seeing happening in your business is a reflection of what's going on within you, right? And this is why people who are struggling with worthiness and low self-worth and low self-esteem, it's going to show up in their business. And those people, they won't have the confidence to really create content, And so those need to be honored if you're to really bless up your business and your life, because you need to understand that there are no accidents. That's why a lot of people who've come to me, especially like one-on-one clients, they've had really successful businesses already, but they're coming to me mostly, yes, for market strategy and systems, but they know, like, we're going to go in deep. And the transformation that came from that has allowed them to have, multiple 5-figure launches and huge outreach and accomplishments that are just like, I'm just totally fangirling over my former students. I think there's something special from that. But I know for me, this is a big piece of what I believe is really going to help people, because if you continue to find deeper triggers or the challenges that are coming up, they're going to allow you to have a really solid foundation. And it's why I created programs like Thrive, right? Like, I want you to understand is that once you've been able to get over that hump and the challenges that, have held you back or kept you playing small, you're going to be able to serve and you're going to be able to make an impact. And I know that's why you want to start your business, right? So if you give yourself permission to cultivate that space for the new to arrive, you doing the work and committing to that is what's going to allow that to happen. Because truthfully, the future of business is all energetic. The future of life is all energetics, right? We're in the Aquarian age now, and in this golden age, like, we understand that energy is everything. That's why I love sharing about Kundalini yoga. Like, that practice really changed my life. And, the fact that I've been able to teach it in front of thousands at festivals and online through programs like the Mystic Planner. I have it within all of my one-on-one experiences as well. Like, I'm doing what I can to share with you technologies that have helped me overcome like the darkest nights and have really helped me transcend my ego. And that's a big piece that you need to understand is, like, if you're doing this for vanity or for the ego, to serve the ego rather than to serve humanity. So if you're doing it for vanity instead of humanity, you have a rude awakening coming. And sometimes we can see, or that we have that focus on the vanity metrics when we're still super insecure and we have codependency issues, and we're looking for, or we're attaching our worth to people who are investing in ourselves, who are investing in our business through that little heart or that double tap. And this is something I really want you to understand, is that if you're finding yourself in that space, I give you permission, or if you don't even need permission, but if you've been looking for that permission, permission granted to really dive in. Like, I invite you, I challenge you to dive in deep and to get radically honest about what unhealthy habits in your mind, your mindset, are really holding you back, and what unprocessed traumas are really hindering you as well. I know this has been the last piece for me to really heal, the last year. Because, as I write this book, like, I have an opportunity to have it be published and with a major publishing house, and that's going to be opening up a lot of doors. And it's something I've been busting my ass to get to. But for me to really receive that and for me to really get ready for that, I have to get out of my own way. And that means getting radically honest about what isn't working and how I've been playing small and what I've been bypassing. And I feel like losing my memory, throughout the last year, and having these seizures and these health challenges have really made me humble in a way, because I got so caught up in the trap of the vanity metrics and worthiness dependent on how much money was in my bank account or how many people I had signed up for this program. And it was all external validation. And like I talked about with Allison Lassard, right? It's not like the external validation is nice, but if that's what you're reliant on more than your own personal validation, then you have a huge, huge, huge rude awakening coming. And I've been there. So the biggest mistake that I made was being so reliant on people, vanity metrics, and opinions of others. And that's what really held me back and had me doubt myself. And it takes courage to admit that. And so when you can get to the point where you can admit that and take responsibility, then it doesn't have power over you anymore. And that's a piece that you really need to understand too, because if you are feeling disempowered, or if you're giving away your power to something outside of you, someone outside of you, some circumstance outside of you, then you're not in your sovereign embodiment. And so here I am as a sovereign priestess who's here to help you go to the depth of your soul to embody your sovereign truth. It's important to share this, because that's the other thing that's been really challenging, is like, people on social media love to just show the highlight reel, but they don't like to talk about the mistakes they've made, or when they're having challenging times, because they're afraid it can ruin the image of their brand. I just say that's a load of shit. I think more than ever, people are craving more authenticity and what it means to be human, and just that's you embracing your uniqueness. That's you embracing who you are. And I feel like once you really give yourself permission to embrace who you are, not only do the doors and opportunities open for you, but you'll find more ease and grace in building your business and building your brand and creating content. And you'll just be an open channel to hear how God is using you and what's the information that's to be delivered through you, right? And so I want you to know, like, if you don't take care of you and if you don't give yourself permission to honor you, that burnout is also inevitable. And you'll be building that business on an unstable foundation, because while you are the initial cement and water, let's say you're the water that's turning the cement into something solid. And this is super special that this is coming through right now, because it's the only way I'm seeing this right now. And my nonno, my mom's dad, he raised me, and he was a concrete pumper. That's what he did. He came here from Italy with not very much in his pocket, like $400 in his pocket. And that's the work that he did and the life that he created. It was really inspiring to keep going. And what happens when you work hard, and while working hard is great, I think there's something more beneficial from working smarter instead of harder. And that's what I really want to help you to do. And that's why I'm really passionate about systems. And I'll talk about systems more later, but I want to go back to this analogy. So you're the water that's helping mix this concrete, right? So you're seeing like the rocks that are coming, and that the foundation to build that foundation, right? Like, you are interwoven in that solid foundation. from that foundation, then you're being able to have a strong empire, a strong building, right? Can be built on that foundation. So not only are you the ultimate foundation of your business, but knowing who you're here to serve, what's your sacred why, and what's your niche will really allow you to hone in on your greater mission and purpose. So I want you to get really clear on who you're speaking to. So for instance, maybe you are a mom and you're passionate about yoga, and you have your own business right now, or you've been starting your business, right? Your niche can be helping pregnant women on how to balance work and life while running a business, right? So you can be teaching like yoga classes, you can teach business strategies to help when you're also nursing, what have you. Like, you want to get specific on your niche so that they can find you. Maybe your business is to help people with sacred sales, people who want to learn or how to do better with selling, marketing, lawyers for spiritual business, entrepreneurs. Like, these are the things that you need to really hone in, because if you're trying to talk to everyone, you're not going to talk to anyone. And so I want you to really hone in on who you're speaking to. And the best way to do is what I love to see is, where were you a couple years ago that you've been able to master and you're ready to teach now? Because to master something is to teach it. So I know for me, I was like super basic bitch spirituality, where I was talking about crystals and talking about mantras, and I thought I had a little bit of an edge of Kundalini yoga because there weren't a lot of Kundalini yoga teachers yet. But I loved talking about the chakras. But what was I doing with that? Nothing. So now that I'm here helping spiritual entrepreneurs find that sovereign embodiment by doing the deep work and really strengthening the foundation they've already built by embracing who they are, overcoming childhood doubts, pains, insecurities, fears. Like, there's deep medicine in that work, and it's because I've been there. So I can share from experience, I can cultivate and share with compassion, and it's made me humble along the way by my own journey, right? And so you have to, you can't teach something, again, you haven't gone through yourself. Otherwise, you're a crock of shit, and people will also feel that as well. So you need to hone in on what have you mastered, what community are you part of, and how can you give back to that community. So for instance, maybe maybe you want to help, maybe you're transgendered and you want to help more transgender people build a business that is in alignment with who they are, where they feel confident in unapologetically being who they are. That's a niche right there. So you really want to hone in on who you're speaking to, and you want to put yourself out there. Share your journey, share your experience, share your wisdom, share tips, share knowledge, cultivate that trust. Because if you're not putting yourself out there either, that's a huge mistake. And if you're not putting yourself out there, but if you're not putting your services out there and you're not talking about it, which I know I was so afraid of for so long, because I carried so much insecurity and doubts and feelings of unworthiness of who am I. But again, the question is, who are you not? And it took me losing my memory and having this whole thing to really reset that, because I was so stuck in those consciousness traps and loops. And I was trying so, so hard to get out of it. And in a way, I feel like my answered prayer was having these seizures, because when I got out of it, and I started coming back and getting the momentum going again, I felt that drive. I had a new perspective on life. Like, truly, this isn't just some like a statement, but I new perspective, and I had to keep looking at maps to get around town, like the city I've lived in for the last 5 years, the city I grew up in my childhood. I had to really go back to basics, but obviously that's not going to happen for everyone, but you need to give yourself permission to get out of your way. And I really want you to also understand that if you're not putting yourself out there, the other major piece that can be challenging is that you're lacking consistency, because there's no structure or plan that you have set forth. So for instance, in my program, Alchemize Your Systems, I have automations and systems and marketing strategy for people to really have systems and structures set. Think of it this way. Like, I see your systems and structures as the divine masculine of your business, and the divine feminine of your business is your medicine, right? It's your creative expression, your intuitive hunches, your energy, your presence. And to find the two together, if that divine masculine can be the structures and you're part of that divine feminine, that's where there's this beautiful sacred union where your business, which is an extension of you, it's your brand. Your brand can really be, your brand is your sacred union. That's the way that I see it. And if you're running a brand of integrity, that's because you've unified with your energy. You've have boundaries by talking about having these structures. If you can go ahead and bulk out content, you can manage your time better, because I did not manage my time well in the beginning. For many years, let's get real. All I was doing was finding myself in a constant comparison paralysis, scrolling on Instagram, seeing how many likes this person got and why haven't I gotten there, or, just constantly scrolling and checking out. And the challenge for me was that when I was 18 years old, I was diagnosed with dissociative disorder because I had so much trauma. So my mentor, Nisha, says, essentially my brain was starting to split. And I think we caught it just in time with the seizures that I was having, because I wasn't running away from what was going on anymore. Now, I like I said, with this change of perspective, I can see it head on. And so I was dissociating myself from what was actually important, because I had a lot of insecurities and doubts, and it was really hard for me to trust life, because my life was really fucking challenging my entire life. And so once I started to implement systems and structures and have a plan, I'm finding myself like having better boundaries with how much I work, because I was also overworking, like sitting on my computer for 18 hours a day and feeling like nothing was really getting accomplished. Like, that's a waste of time and my energy. And that's what depleted me and got burnout as well. So if you can be consistent by honoring your pillars, and these are all things that I talk about in my program, Business Alchemy, which is like literally the ultimate business 101 program for anyone who wants to start a business, so that you can create smarter and not harder, and, really create a business based off of your own terms. This is something I'm launching in the next, coming weeks or so. And so if you're interested, hit me up, because that program is literally everything that I know when it came to building a business. But when I was able to hone in on the pillars of my business, which held my like, that's like this, the what held the structure, that was the very structure. And I knew who I was serving, and I knew what my products were. I knew what my services were. I can create marketing from that. I can break it down and create content from that. I could go ahead and create my emails, my structures, and just really start promoting that by sharing like little nuggets of wisdom and a little sneak peek of what to expect. Like, for instance, here, this can be something that can support, obviously, Business Alchemy. It can, me talking about doing the deeper work, can be something that can support Thrive. So if you can start thinking of how you can promote and serve, there's nothing wrong with selling. It's about being of service. And so the key is like, how do you see your product or your service being a service to the people who are investing in you, right? And that's the other thing. Like, if you don't have mentorship in the beginning, you're going to waste a lot of time and energy. And I'm not just talking about group programs are great, but if you can also invest in one-on-one to get really honed in and streamline it, it's a great way, because you'll feel supported. I figured a lot of this out on myself. I also spent tens of thousands of dollars in programs, and a lot of programs, they didn't serve me. I spent a lot of money, and I made a lot of mistakes with that. So I was purchasing things out of scarcity and not out of like a full body hell yes, which I think is also something really important to understand. But there's also, when you're putting your services out there and you're just starting, my suggestion would be like, offer a couple people like a free service to trade for like a testimonial, so you have social proof there. But then eventually you want to build packages. I don't think one-time sessions are the way to go. if you want to cultivate sustainable success, because when they have a package, you'll be able to come back and see their progress. So for instance, let's talk about Business Alchemy. It's a 3-month program, but we have bi-weekly group calls. So for 12 weeks with, support in the community during those 12 weeks, and face to face every 6 weeks, you're going to see the gradual growth of, I will see it of my students, and the community will grow together as well. And I think there's also something really special with online programs, is because nothing makes me happier is than when I get like a DM from former students who never knew each other, and then they met each other through the program, and then they're meeting in person for the first time. It's so special. Like I've gotten like random voice calls from one of my students, Blair, who was a student of Thrive, and you're going to be hearing her conversation coming up about her experience with Thrive. Her and Jahira, they met through there, and she went to go visit her, and they face call. I was crying, and there's just so many other stories. I've had it with Alchemize Your Systems. I've had it with the Mystic Planner. It's just like, it's something so special. And then when you get to meet your students as well, like Monica, who's also going to be on an upcoming episode here. She was in Business Alchemy, because at the time, Business Alchemy was called Thrive 2.0, because I had a lot of Thrive in that experience, but I brought in a lot of the business pieces. And so that's where I decided to separate it and have Business Alchemy be its own thing. But Monica was in Palm Springs, and she was actually, hilariously enough, she was doing a workshop with Natalia Benson, who's going to be on here in 2 weeks. And we got lunch together, and then we went shopping together, and it was just like something so special. And I think there's something that's really special when you can cultivate community. So I think it's important. Yes, passive income's amazing, but there's something really special with group programs. But in order to offer that group program, like, you need to master what you've created. You need to have the structures and the foundation, and a game plan on what you're delivering. And if you can already have your systems automated, like for instance, if you can have like a program like Flowdesk, like you can save 50% off Flowdesk when you use the code Sabrina, but that's like, I've literally referred it to like over 40 people. And they've all loved it as well. But when you can have all your emails automated, you only have to do that one time, right? You can do that one time, set it all up. You spend a day just writing out the scripts, like, of all the emails. The next day you're setting up all the workflows. And then that becomes evergreen, where the next time you launch that program, you can do it again. Because the biggest thing I have to say is, like, you don't need 20 million programs, right? You can have like different levels of pricing. So for instance, my lowest pricing program is the Mystic Planner. And that has 7 Kundalini meditations, one for each day of the week. And now I'm adding a whole, like, how to organize your calendar with that piece, so that I really want to help people, again, like, be more visually see their calendar, and to be honoring their energy a lot more, because I've found that when I have something scheduled in my calendar, the likelihood of me accomplishing it and like checking it off is a lot higher than if I don't write it down, or if I don't have it planned in, right? So that's where the Mystic Planner is the lowest. And then above that is Thrive, because it's for people, no matter where they are. Maybe they don't have a business, or they're just starting their business and they're just getting their feet wet. Like, I wanted to create that experience. And then the next one higher than that is Alchemize Your Systems. And then the next one higher than that is Business Alchemy, because Alchemize Your Systems is an 8-week program. Business Alchemy is a 3-month program. And then the one that's higher than that is working with me one-on-one for Sovereign CEO. So when you have these different prices and different packages, again, you don't have to promote them all at the same time. You can promote them different quarterly or what have you. But if you at least start with one course, and you have all the systems set up, you have the emails ready to go. You don't necessarily need to have the program done ahead of time. You can pre-record if you want. But you can also, if you're just starting, just like have it be a live thing. That's what I did. I remember my first program was Stay Woke. And that was a 6-week program. And yeah, I just want you to get started. And that's the biggest piece. But get started and have your system set up. Because if you're in a frantic energy with a course or a program, your audience is also going to feel that. And that's not a very comfortable or safe environment for them to be in business, right? You want them to feel held, and you want to be in your own strength, and you want to be in your own power, and you're here to lead them. You're here to guide them. They're investing in you. They have faith in you. So you need to show up and truly be that leader, because these are the things that you do to treat your business like a business and not like a hobby. If you don't have your system set up, if you don't have a service, if you don't know who you're here to serve, if you don't know your sacred why, if you're not showing up, or if you're not confident, that's not a business. That's a very expensive hobby. And I treated my business in the beginning like a very expensive hobby because, again, my self-worth and insecurities and doubt had more power over me. And I was really, really deep in my sickness and my mental health. And, luckily, getting the work that I did and working with plant medicines, and then diving back into therapy and taking care of my health has really gotten me to this space now where I feel confident to really share with you more about business. Because the truth is like, I had business programs going, but I wasn't as confident with it because I wasn't really taking my business seriously. And that's just the truth. And so it wasn't until I really started, again, implementing those systems, when I started really honing in on my client and focusing on the transformation I knew I wanted them to have, that's when doors really started to open. And it was challenging because doors were starting to really open for me, and I was getting a lot of opportunities and gigs. And then I got sick, and I needed to slow down because I wasn't slowing down before those gigs. And I pushed myself really over the edge. And so even my therapist was like, you need to prioritize rest more. And that's been really challenging for me. That's what I'm like really working through right now, and not overworking myself. But again, there's these challenges, or these opportunities, I should say, will continue to arise as you continue to grow. So my prayer for you is that you prioritize taking care of yourself and nurturing yourself by having your structures and your systems in place, and to get really clear on who you're here to serve, what's the transformation you're here to provide, and what's the big sacred why behind why you do what you do, and what are your services. Because when you can start coming from that place and come up with a game plan of content creating, maybe for instance, like here I'm recording this, but this has been part of a group of podcasts I've been pre-recording. So I have 6 weeks of podcasts ready to go so that I can finish editing my book, because editing my book is a top priority for me. It's like number one on my list to get done, because how many people actually finish writing a book? So I know that's going to be a huge accomplishment for me. But I love creating this podcast. So I've been really working hard, and this whole week I've just been honed in on the podcast and upgrading it, adding these sponsored posts and little clips to it, having conversations, editing videos. So I don't really have to look for it for 6 weeks, right? And that's the beauty of also planning ahead. So all in all, I just want you to create smarter and not harder. And I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. And so rather than you wasting the time and energy, because money is just an energetic exchange, right? Money is energy. Like we're the ones that put so much value and pressure about money, and wealth. But wealth consciousness, like wealth is all around you. It doesn't have to be money. It can be a wealth of health, a wealth of relationships, a wealth of joy. It can be so many things. And so my prayer is that, you understand that you don't have to do this alone. You can understand that there are people here to help you. That's what I'm here for. I'd love to help you. And the sooner you say yes to yourself, and the sooner you say yes to your dreams and your bigger vision, then you're a step closer to really actualizing those deep desires. So again, I just want to thank you for your love and your support as I'm here recording this episode on my bed. Like I said, I recorded this earlier, and I think this episode is actually better. And that's the other thing. It's like you can create something and, at least you started, but like the next time you do it, it can be even better. So for instance, maybe you have one program and it's great, but like the next one can be even better because you learn from experience. And so my experience is to really double check that my microphone is on. But there's a reason for everything. So I'd love to hear, if you check out my post on Instagram. You can see I talk about all these episodes when they're live. But if you want to leave a rating and review on iTunes, that really helps me to hear and to see what conversations and what podcast episodes you loved. You can also comment it about this in the Sovereign Society group. Send me a DM, take a screenshot, and let me know you're tuning in. But I just want to honor you if you're someone who's ready to start their business. Like, you're saying yes, and that's a huge accomplishment. So we need to celebrate that win as well. You need to celebrate that win as well. But I love you. I'm excited to see what you do with your business, but I would love to hear what your business is. Like I said, I would let me know. And I just want to continue to better serve you. And I'm excited to be sharing more about business development. Do I think this is going to be my forever thing? Hell no. But this is what I'm really guided to help people with right now. And I'm excited to see what's in store. And thanks for tuning in. I'll be seeing you next time. Take care. Salam.